Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to East Central Missouri and the world, and welcome to the James Strong Show podcast, podcast number 184. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us a part of your day. I appreciate it. This podcast was recorded on the morning of Saturday, August the 29th, from the James Strong Show compound, poolside, because, friends, we are in a pandemic and we're doing things safely. My guest on the podcast today, he's a manufacturer. He's a family man. He's a soon-to-be podcaster. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Charles Clark. Charles, welcome to the James Strong Show.
Thank you for having me.
We met earlier this week on a business meeting, okay? And after we were done talking business, the conversation kind of gravitated to, hey, you do podcasts, right? Yeah. Hey, I'm kind of interested in a podcast. What's it all about? I said, well, come on by on Saturday, and we'll talk about it, and you'll see what's going on. I thank you for taking time out of your busy day to talk about stuff on the show.
No problem.
We're in a pandemic. We're in interesting times. I'm in manufacturing. You're in manufacturing. And one of the things we were talking about when I came and visited you earlier this week was, how do we manufacture in this environment? And you got to do things differently, don't you?
Yes, you do.
Just like anything else. Your company is more in the distribution and the manufacturing of products. So
yes.
You've got several different companies. But your problem, like my problem, is, how do you talk face to face to a guy and try to sell him something when you're not allowed in his building?
No, it's pretty hard. Pretty hard.
What are some of the things? What are some of the challenges that you folks have had in your manufacturing company?
Well, it's funny. It's getting product. So because the people that are manufacturing,
mm-hmm.
they're not manufacturing. They send everybody home.
Right.
So you're just trying to get product, and then people that you're selling to, they're running out of product because of that lag in the manufacturing.
We've kind of had that too. It's if you make the decision to stay open, and if you've been successful, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if your raw material supplier isn't, now what do you do?
Yeah, you don't do anything. You have to wait till they ramp back up and get things out. So
well, and I had a conversation with somebody, and if you're not in manufacturing, you don't understand this. In fact, I was a guest on Brad Hildebrand's show a little while back talking about manufacturing during the pandemic. And way back when this whole thing started, somebody made the statement, well, we're going to turn the GM plant in Wentzville, where they assemble trucks and vans, into a facility that manufactures ventilators. And I thought to myself, you're not going to do that.
Yeah. Because
people think manufacturing is manufacturing. Putting together trucks, manufacturing ventilators, same thing.
No.
It's nothing alike. and they never did do that.
No.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know.
Shocking.
It's just
the other thing is you're talking about raw materials. Well, if you can't get the raw material from this guy, just get it from that guy.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's like saying, well, I need an alternator for a Chevrolet. I can't get it for a 1995 GMC truck, so I'll just get one out of a 2013 Chevy Cobalt.
Yeah, and then the product might not be as good as the one that you're receiving.
Or it won't fit, or the specs are different.
Doesn't work.
Or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's correct. We have that same problem in our company with tool steels. And different tool steels are required to do a certain task for a certain job. This tool steel works in that application. That tool steel works in this application. And sometimes tool steels are like chocolate cake, okay? You can go to the little old lady who bakes cakes down the street where they're going to be fantastic. And then you get the chocolate cake from McDonald's. They're going to be different.
Yes.
And if you're used to getting your chocolate cake from this supplier and you get it from that supplier, totally different.
Yeah,
totally
and you don't want it.
Right. Exactly. Nobody wants it. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. It's just not chocolate cake. An article that I read this morning. Let me back off before I get into this article. This whole pandemic thing. Everybody has an opinion.
Yes, they do.
and some of them are even based in fact.
Yeah.
Some of them,
Yeah.
maybe not most of them, but some of them.
Yeah.
And I think we're spending way too much time thinking through this whole thing.
Yeah.
And less time saying, okay, this is the way it is. Let's make an adjustment and move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to, because if you don't, you're in trouble.
I have all but abandoned Facebook because, well, yeah. Facebook once upon a time was, and it's really always been, a format in which to show pictures of your cat and argue with strangers.
Sure.
In theory, it could be a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah.
But it's become a format to show pictures of your food, show pictures of your cat, argue with strangers, and
show a life that's not real.
Show a life that's not real. That's very true.
Yeah.
And just belittle, mock, and berate anybody who doesn't agree 100% with what you agree.
Yeah.
And I've just stopped.
Yeah.
I've just stopped.
It's hard to look at.
It's very hard to look at. I will have a discussion with anybody, but I always use the phrase, and I borrowed it from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes said, or Doyle said that Holmes did not suffer well the folly of fools, nor do I.
Yes. Yeah. Because, and it gets toxic on Facebook, too.
Mm.
And, like that's a friend. Well, I'm going to just unfriend them so I don't have to see that stuff anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
And then and they're like, hey, where have you been? Yeah.
I enjoy discussions with people.
Yeah.
I especially enjoy discussions with people which I do not agree. Because if you and I are 100% in agreement with something, there's no conversation. It's just that I'm going to say something, you're going to agree. You're going to say something, I'm going to agree. And then we both yawn.
Yeah.
But if you disagree and you have a conversation, a best-case scenario is, okay, we both laid it out there. I respect your opinion, but I respectfully disagree. A best-case scenario is one of the two or both say, wow, I never considered that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I've learned something.
Well, not today. You can't do that today.
Both
sides are like, I'm right, you're wrong.
That's right.
That's where you get that's where we are. That's why we're in this trouble right now.
There's a gentleman who's been on the podcast, Eugene Vale, probably listening to this podcast. And several times a day, he posts numbers of all the COVID-19 statistics, okay? And he's a big proponent of wearing a mask. And he said that there was some guy who called him, a limp-wristed fairy for his opinions on Facebook.
Wow. And
I'm thinking to myself, no, the guy's stating facts. Now, you can take those facts and interpret them however you like.
Yeah.
This gentleman he's not vindictive. He's not mean about anything. He throws facts out there and says, look, these are the facts, and based on these facts, this is what I believe. Now, there have been others who said, yeah, okay, those facts are this, but sometimes those facts aren't as, where are you getting them from? Are they accurate? And those are legitimate arguments.
Sure.
But to just belittle him and name call.
Well, that means he probably just doesn't know, So, you know what I mean? You don't know any facts. So you're just going to just spit out, bad names, call you names.
That's exactly right. I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Going back to the childhood.
Exactly. But we spend way too much time on this stuff, in my opinion. I read an article on Wall Street Journal today, and by the way, there's a handful of news sources out there that I respect always, and one of them is the Wall Street Journal. So much so that I pay my $20 a month to read it online. So that's how much I respect it. But there was an article today that I found especially interesting. And for the first time in a long time, other than a picture of my my happy hour drink last night, it's the first thing on Facebook that I've posted in quite some time. But it's a gentleman named J.B. Straubel, and he's a former head engineer with Tesla. So he was working for Elon Musk for many, many years. Bright guy. just figured, you know what, I'm going to leave and do something different. So what this guy does is he's the electric battery guru, okay? And he's built a factory in Carson City next to Musk's Gigafactory where he builds batteries. And what he's decided to do is recycle the lithium and cobalt out of used, spent batteries. And it's hard to do. He's trying to figure it out, but he gets these old phones, old cars, anything with a lithium-ion battery, which is just about anything nowadays.
Yeah, it is.
And depending on the market value, he has in his warehouse, if he can figure a good way to recycle this stuff, anywhere from $500 million to $1.5 billion worth of lithium in these batteries. And if he can figure a good way to get it out, send it to Elon Musk, he's going to revolutionize the way manufacturing is done. Because currently the lithium and especially the cobalt that goes into these batteries comes from mines in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, mined by 12-year-old children, slave labor basically.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah. So if he can find a way that he has the equivalent of 64 tons of lithium, which is enough to you can close 2 mines for a year. That's just what he has right now.
That's awesome.
In his warehouse.
It's crazy though.
But that's an idea of how if people would stop being petty, stop being stupid, stop arguing about stuff that they're not going to be able to change, and just put their goals, put their mind towards doing something positive.
Yeah, put all their energy towards that. Then you can have those strides
Exactly.
forward.
Exactly. And that's a big problem that I have. And maybe we can talk about that because you're a forward-thinking, logical man, which is why I wanted to get your opinion on all this stuff. And so that's what we're going to do in the podcast today. Just talk about life in the world of James and Charles.
Sounds good.
So we've talked about how you folks are adapting during the pandemic, and everybody has their opinion about what is what, and but it's changed our lives.
Yeah, it has.
How's it affected you folks?
Well,
both in manufacturing and your family.
Well, in the family, not so much because we were kind of doing the same routine. Why we were doing it? Because we homeschool and all that. So when all the kids came home, they were already there. And,
okay.
But like in the business side, it's getting help. When people they get scared and leave,
mm-hmm.
and getting more workforce. Say if you get busier, you just can't find anybody out there today because nobody wants to do it or they're scared.
Mm-hmm.
And you're left in a lurch trying to find people to help get your product out, and you can't find. There's no workforce.
I've heard that from many, many, many people. I mean, you read statistics that say, wow, we have more people out of work right now than any time since the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Which I think is true.
Oh, yeah.
But then we have other people saying, I can't find people to do the job. Now, what is it?
And that's all the companies I deal with, too. They're like, hey, we have the work. Because you're like saying, oh, you don't have the work. No, we have the work. We just don't have the people.
Yeah.
And we need to get it out. And that's what we're in trouble right now, trying to ramp up to 110% capacity, but they just can't get there because they don't have the people to in that area. So and that's why some of these companies do move. They try to move to a place that has maybe a bigger, better workforce.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's one of the keys to try to figure out this time too, how to get people in and to work. Incentives, you know what I mean? Is it incentives, or is it the work driving you away, or they don't want to do it, or the pay?
Well, now in the spirit of full disclosure, I'm an old man, but you are not, because people have accused me. Well, you're just an old man, strong. You know what you're talking about. These young people nowadays, these young whippersnappers. You're not an old guy. You're a younger man. Okay, so you're not saying these kids nowadays. You're saying the workforce in general.
Yeah, in general. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Well, but I can't say all.
No.
I mean, But we have, what's interesting is, like you say, you're an older man. We got a lot of